Have you ever wondered what it's like to truly experience the soul of Vietnam? Join me on a journey that goes beyond the tourist traps and delves into the heart of Vietnamese culture, where ancient traditions meet modern life, and a warm embrace awaits every visitor. Welcome to Vietnam, a country of timeless charm and striking contrasts. As your plane descends, the first thing that hits you isn't just the landscape. It's a feeling vibrant, chaotic, alive. A rush of senses, the scent of grilled lemongrass chicken drifting from a street vendor's cart, the bright colors of lanterns swaying in the breeze, and the infectious smile of a stranger who doesn't speak your language but somehow says welcome better than words ever could. Vietnam greets you not with monuments, but with people. Whether it's an old man playing a dan bao, a traditional one-string instrument, on a quiet street in Hoi An, or a child offering you a lotus flower near a temple in Hue, there's a sense that every corner of this country wants to share something with you, a story, a flavor, a piece of its soul. We begin this journey in the north and slowly move south, uncovering the many layers of Vietnamese life. From the poetic chaos of Hanoi's Old Quarter to the serene backwaters of the Mekong Delta, we'll explore the rhythms of daily life, the music of local languages, and the deeply rooted traditions that define the Vietnamese identity. But this isn't just about places. It's about people, the street vendors who wake up before dawn to set up their stalls, the farmers who still work with water buffalo in the rice fields, and the artists who keep ancient crafts alive in a world moving too fast. It's about food that speaks without words, a bowl of pho that warms more than your stomach, or a bite of banh mi that tells the story of colonization, resistance, and innovation. And it's about finding quiet moments in noisy places, watching monks chant at sunrise, sipping strong Safi Sua de by the outside, or simply getting lost in a conversation you don't fully understand but deeply feel. So pack your curiosity. Because this isn't a checklist trip. This is a slow dance with a country that doesn't rush but lingers in your heart long after you leave. Let's begin, not just a tour, but an invitation. To understand. To feel. To connect. This is Vietnam. And this is just the beginning. There's something enchanting about Hanoi that words often fail to capture. It's not just the city's rhythm, it's the way the past and present hold hands here, like old friends walking through centuries of change. Founded over 1,000 years ago, Hanoi is Vietnam's beating heart. And this city doesn't just whisper history, it sings it in every brick and echo of its alleyways. Our first stop is Hon Kim Lake, a peaceful oasis in the city's center. Here, time slows down. Elderly couples stretch in silence, joggers pass monks in saffron robes, and the ancient Nok Sun temple watches over everything like a patient storyteller. Legend says the golden turtle god gave Emperor Lo Loi a magical sword here. And one glance at the lake makes you believe anything might be true in Hanoi. Just a few streets away, we step into the Old Quarter, a living, breathing museum of everyday life. The narrow streets are named after the goods once sold there: Silver Street, Paper Street, Silk Street. Time feels elastic here. A modern cafe sits beside a crumbling pagoda. A man welds scooter parts under a French balcony wrapped in vines. Here, the noise is poetry, motorbikes honking like musical notes, vendors calling out in sing-song tones, the sizzle of banh quan, steamed rice rolls, cooking on open griddles. Every sense is alive. Next, we visit the Temple of Literature, Vietnam's first national university. Built in 1070. The air here is hushed and scholarly, perfumed by incense and wisdom. It's a place where Confucian ideals once shaped a nation's scholars and still inspire young students today who come to rub the heads of stone turtles for luck before exams. Then, the French Quarter, a graceful contrast to the Old Quarter's raw charm. Here, wide boulevards, yellow-painted villas, and the Grand Hanoi Opera House tell of colonial chapters in Vietnam's complex story. It's a space where Vietnamese resilience rewrote the script, transforming European structures into uniquely Vietnamese expressions. As the sun sets, we sit by a street-side Bia Hoi, fresh beer, stall. Locals raise their glasses with strangers like us, clinking in universal language. A toast to life, to travel, to being here. Hanoi is a city of contrasts. Tradition and modernity. Silence and chaos. Elegance and grit. But above all, it's a city that invites you to look deeper, beyond the motorbike madness and tangled wires, into a place that wears its history not as a burden, but as a beautiful, living thread in the fabric of daily life. And as the lanterns flicker on and the night market hums to life, one thing becomes clear: this city doesn't just welcome you. It stays with you. Welcome to the Mekong Delta, where the river is life, and every current carries a story. Known as Q Lon, or Nine Dragons in Vietnamese, this vast network of waterways fans out across southern Vietnam like a living artery. The Mekong doesn't just flow, it breathes, pulses, and sustains. It's not a backdrop. It's the main character in the lives of millions. Our journey begins at dawn. As the sun peaks over the horizon, the river awakens. Wooden boats loaded with pineapples, coconuts, and dragon fruit drift toward the floating markets of Tsai Rang. There are no signs, no billboards, just vendors hoisting their goods on bamboo poles, letting the produce speak for itself. One boat sells sweet mangoes. Another sells steaming bowls of hutiu, pork noodle soup, its aroma dancing over the water. Here, buying breakfast means rowing your way to it. We glide deeper into the maze of canals, where the world feels hushed and intimate. Lush nipa palms arch over the waterways. Fishermen check their nets. Water buffalo graze beside rice fields. This is not a place that rushes. This is a place that listens to the splash of an oar, the laughter of children, and the whispers of the riverbank. We stop at a small village, where locals greet us with smiles and stories. In these waterside homes, life is woven with the rhythms of nature. Houses are built on stilts. And entire kitchens float on rafts. A woman in her 70s teaches us how to make banh xeo, crispy rice pancakes filled with shrimp and bean sprouts, wrapped in lettuce, dipped in fermented fish sauce. Her hands move with memory, her eyes with kindness, and then comes the moment you realize, here, food is not just nourishment. It's culture, heritage, identity. It's a shared meal and a shared history. We meet a boat builder who crafts sampans by hand, using techniques passed down from his grandfather. His workshop smells of sawdust and sweat. His pride, however, smells of legacy. Back on the boat, we drift beneath low-hanging mangroves. The light filters through like stained glass. A kingfisher darts by. Time loses its grip. You feel part of the water, not just moving through the delta, but being moved by it. As the sun dips low, painting the river gold, you begin to understand something deeper about Vietnam. This country isn't defined by cities or sites alone. It's in the stories of the people who live between the land and the water, who adapt, rebuild, and continue no matter the flood, no matter the tide. The Mekong Delta is more than a destination. It's a revelation of simplicity, resilience, and the deep beauty of living with, not against, nature. If there is one language spoken fluently across all of Vietnam, it's food, not just meals, but moments. Not just flavors, but philosophies. Vietnamese cuisine isn't about overpowering the senses, it's about balance, yin and yang. Sweet and salty. Hot and cool. Crunch and broth. Every dish here is a quiet conversation between ingredients, tradition, and intention. Our journey begins in a local market in Hue, the former imperial capital, where the legacy of royal cuisine still lingers. Vendors here don't just sell vegetables. They tell stories with their hands, slicing banana flowers, bundling morning glory, weighing out fresh turmeric by feel. A woman lets us taste mam tam. Fermented shrimp paste, intense, pungent, and strangely addictive. It's not for everyone, but that's the point. Vietnamese food invites you to be curious, not cautious. We meet Chef Lien, a third-generation cook who runs a tiny family eatery in Hanoi. In her kitchen, the air is thick with star anise and patience. She teaches us to make pho, the national soul food, a broth that simmers for 12 hours, layered with bones, spices, and memory. She speaks of how her grandmother survived war and famine but never served a bland bowl. In Vietnam, even hardship has flavor. From north to south, the cuisine shifts subtly like dialects. In Hanoi, the flavors are delicate, clean, a hint of citrus. A breath of ginger. In central Vietnam, the dishes are bold, spicy, rebellious, like bun boi hue, with its fiery lemongrass kick. In Saigon, you taste the sweet, rich influence of the Mekong, thick caramelized pork, coconut stews, fresh herbs in abundance. We stop at a street stall in Saigon, where the smell of grilled meat fills the night. It's bánh tráng nuon, often called Vietnamese pizza, grilled rice paper topped with quail egg, pork floss, green onions, and chili sauce. Cooked over charcoal, eaten by hand, and savored under neon lights. And then there's banh mi, the perfect East meets West sandwich. French baguette meets Vietnamese pickled vegetables, pâté, herbs, and barbecue pork. One bite, and colonial history melts into modern joy, but perhaps the most beautiful part of Vietnamese food is how it's shared. You'll rarely eat alone here. Every table is a celebration of family, community, and the small details that make life rich. In a countryside home near the Mekong, we're invited to dinner. The table is simple: fish caught that morning, rice from the family's field, herbs picked from their garden. No fancy plating. No Michelin stars. Just soul, and suddenly, you understand, Vietnamese cuisine isn't about impressing you, it's about welcoming you. Nourishing you, inviting you to taste not just what Vietnam grows, but what it remembers. To truly understand Hanoi, you must lose yourself, literally, in the Old Quarter, a 1,000-year-old maze of history, commerce, and culture. The Old Quarter doesn't just throb with life. It roars. Each street is named for what it once sold: Hong Bak, Silver Street; Hong Ma, paper offerings; Hong Dao, Peach Blossom Street. But the past is not a museum here. It is alive. Woven into each transaction, each bowl of noodles, each clang of a blacksmith's hammer, we begin our exploration at sunrise, when the city yawns and stretches awake. Locals perform Tai Chi on sidewalks. Vendors set up shop with quiet precision. The smell of fresh bread and simmering broth floats in the humid morning air. We duck into an alley barely wide enough for two people to pass. Inside? A hidden bun cha stall. Smoky pork patties sizzle over coals, served with vermicelli, herbs, and dipping sauce. You eat shoulder to shoulder with strangers, and no one minds. This is Hanoi's version of family. Back on the street, scooters whiz by in chaotic harmony. You learn quickly, traffic here isn't about stopping and going, it's about flowing. Crossing the street is an act of trust. You walk slowly, steadily, eyes forward. And the world dances around you. We visit a family-run silk shop that's been in business for over 4 generations. The owner shows us patterns passed down from her ancestors: dragons, lotuses, phoenixes, once worn by royalty, now worn by the world. She doesn't rush the sale. She shares the story behind the fabric. Here, buying is never just buying. It's learning, listening, connecting. As the sun climbs higher, we step into Dong Xuan Market, the beating heart of trade in Hanoi. A riot of color and noise. You can find everything from fish sauce to phone chargers, antique coins to wedding dresses. Locals haggle with precision. A woman sells fried spring rolls wrapped in banana leaves. Another sells hand-carved wooden stamps. It's sensory overload, and you won't want it any other way. By late afternoon, we attend a water puppetry show, an ancient northern Vietnamese art form dating back to the 11th century. Performers stand waist-deep behind a screen, using long bamboo rods to control lacquered wooden puppets that dance across water. Accompanied by live traditional music, the show tells tales of harvest, dragons, and folk legends. It's both childlike and profound, a window into a past still present, and as night falls, the Old Quarter transforms. Lanterns flicker to life. The sidewalks become dining rooms. Young couples, tourists, elders all gather for street food and laughter. Live music spills from cafes. Steam rises from pots. And the city pulses on. The Old Quarter isn't just a neighborhood, it's a living memory, a sensory poem, a chaos that strangely calms. It reminds you, sometimes, the best journeys are those where you don't find your way, you feel your way. In the heart of central Vietnam lies Hue, a city wrapped in silk and history, where echoes of emperors still linger in the breeze. Once the imperial capital of the Nguyen dynasty, Hue is not loud like Hanoi or buzzing like Saigon. It is quiet, poetic, reflective. Here, the air hums with reverence, as if the city is always listening to the past. We begin along the gentle banks of the Perfume River, where sampans glide through the morning mist. Legend says in autumn, the blossoms from upstream trees fall into the water, releasing a subtle fragrance. True or not, the river carries stories, and we're here to listen. Our first stop is the Imperial City, a sprawling UNESCO World Heritage Site modeled after Beijing's Forbidden City. We walk through the Nomadic Gate, flanked by dragon pillars and golden roof tiles. Inside, faded red lacquer, weathered stone lions, and lotus-filled ponds guard centuries of legacy. Even in ruins, there is majesty here. You feel the weight of royalty, the power, but also the fragility. The citadel was bombed heavily during the Vietnam War, yet it stands. Part scar, part shrine. A reminder that beauty can persist even after violence. In a small courtyard, we stumble upon a performance of Nanak, the elegant court music once reserved for emperors. Dressed in embroidered silk, musicians play ancient instruments, the Dan Tran, the Dan Nhi, the Dan Bao, creating a haunting, regal sound that floats like incense into the sky. Next, we visit the Thien Mu Pagoda, perched on a hill overlooking the river. Its seven-tiered tower rises like a finger pointing to the heavens. Inside, monks chant softly, and the scent of sandalwood wraps around you like a prayer. This is not just a religious site, it's a sanctuary of spirit. A short drive away, the royal tomb of Emperor Kaidin surprises us with its blend of Eastern and Western architecture. Blackened concrete dragons coil around staircases. Inside, the emperor's tomb gleams with broken porcelain mosaics and painted ceilings reminiscent of Versailles. It's flamboyant, eccentric, a personal rebellion against tradition. We meet a young artist who handcrafts non-la, conical hats, with embedded poems, a tradition called nanbaido. He shows us how the verses only appear when held to sunlight. Hidden poetry, waiting to be discovered, like hue itself. As twilight settles, we feast on US royal cuisine, delicate, miniature dishes once prepared for kings, bon bio, steamed rice cakes, namlui, lemongrass pork skewers, and chadaozan, sweet mung bean dessert. Each plate is a work of art. Each bite, a legacy. In hue, time moves slowly, intentionally. Every step is layered with memory, and as we leave, one thought lingers: some cities tell stories. Hugh whispers them, softly, beautifully, and forever. Some places feel like a dream. Hoi An is one of them. This ancient town, once a major Southeast Asian trading port, now floats between past and present, as golden and graceful as a lantern swaying in the breeze. We arrive just as the sun begins to dip, casting a warm glow over mustard-colored buildings with mossy tiled roofs. It's like stepping into a painting. Or perhaps, into memory. Hoi An's Old Town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and rightly so. It's car-free, calm, and almost cinematic. You don't hear honking horns here, only the gentle clip of bicycle tires, the laughter of children, the soft pluck of a Dan Noyet in a nearby shop. We wander through the narrow lanes, where Chinese assembly halls, Japanese merchant houses, and French colonial facades stand side by side, architectural evidence of the town's multicultural history. A few steps feel like crossing continents. At the heart of it all is the Japanese covered bridge, built in the 16th century, adorned with dog and monkey statues. A symbol of connection between cultures, generations, and travelers from every corner of the world. We meet Lan, a third-generation lantern maker, whose tiny workshop overflows with bamboo frames and silk fabrics. She explains how lanterns here aren't just decoration, they symbolize hope, warmth, and reunion. As she teaches us to shape one by hand, she tells how during the full moon festival, the entire town becomes a river of light, and tonight, we get to witness as night falls, Hoi An transforms. Thousands of lanterns ignite across the town, swaying gently above cafes, temples, and riverside stalls. The Thursday Bon River glistens with floating candles placed in paper lotus flowers. Locals and tourists alike whisper wishes into the night as they let their lights drift downstream. In this moment, the line between tourist and local blurs. We're all just people making a wish, sending it out into the world, hoping the current carries it somewhere good. We stop at a riverside stall to taste chow lau, Hoi An's signature noodle dish. The secret? The noodles are made with water from an ancient well, and ashes from a specific tree found only in the nearby Cham Islands. Earthy, chewy, mysterious, like the town itself. Later, we stroll past tailor shops where you can have a custom outfit made in 24 hours. But here, tailoring isn't fast fashion. It's craft. Precision. Personality sewn into each stitch, and then there's silence, the kind that fills you, not empties you. In Hoi An, time doesn't stop. It glows, quietly, softly, through every lantern, every alley, every kind smile. Some places you visit, Hoi An, you carry it with you. Like a wish in a glowing boat. If Hanoi is the soul of Vietnam, then Saigon, officially Ho Chi Minh City, is the heartbeat. It doesn't just move fast. It charges forward, electric, ambitious, alive. From the moment we arrive, Saigon greets us with a dizzying blend of contrasts. Glass towers shimmer beside crumbling French villas. Trendy rooftop bars sit above age-old pagodas. It's a place where the future races ahead, but the past never disappears. We begin at Benton Market, one of the city's oldest and busiest. Inside, every sense is pulled in every direction. The scent of dried squid and fresh herbs mingles with the sounds of bargaining voices and sizzling street food. A vendor hands us a piping hot bonzio, a crisp rice pancake filled with shrimp and bean sprouts wrapped in greens and dipped in sweet sour sauce. It's crunchy, fresh, and unmistakably southern. Outside, the traffic surges like a river of motorbikes. Thousands of them. Moving like instinct, like choreography. We hop on the back of a XOM, a local motorbike taxi, and let Saigon unfold around us. We visit the War Remnants Museum, a sobering but vital stop. The photographs and remnants here don't just tell the story of war, they show its scars, both visible and invisible. And yet, this city isn't weighed down by its past. It learns, heals, and surges forward. A few blocks away, we step into the Notre Dame Cathedral Basilica of Saigon, its red bricks shipped from France in the 19th century. Next to it, the Central Post Office, designed by Gustave Eiffel, stands as a beautiful reminder of colonial layers still present in daily life. But Saigon's true charm lies in its people. We meet In, a 27-year-old entrepreneur who opened a cafe in her grandmother's old home. She serves Sua de strong Vietnamese coffee with condensed milk and tells us how her generation is bridging tradition with innovation. She's proud of her roots. But she's also dreaming forward. By evening, we take a boat ride along the Saigon River, watching the skyline blaze to life. The city glows in neon, a modern metropolis with an unmistakable Vietnamese warmth. High above, rooftop bars hum with jazz and laughter. Below, street vendors still serve soup to midnight wanderers. Saigon doesn't slow down. It doesn't apologize. It invites you to catch up, to feel the pulse, the chaos, the creativity. Here, old and new don't compete. They collide, and from that collision, something magical is born. This is Saigon, unapologetic, unstoppable, unforgettable. In the southern highlands, nestled 1,500 meters above sea level, lies Đà Lạt, a place where time exhales, where air smells of pine and fresh coffee, and where silence is not empty, but full. The first thing you notice is the cool breeze, rare in tropical Vietnam. The locals call this place Tan Pho Nan Hoa, the city of 1,000 flowers. And they mean it literally. Roses, hydrangeas, wild orchids, they bloom everywhere. Even in the cracks of stone walls. We arrive just after sunrise, watching golden light spill over the valley like honey. Far from the noise of Saigon or Hanoi, Đà Lạt feels like a quiet poem written in pine needles and soft rain. Our first stop is the Đà Lạt market, alive with the smell of strawberries, artichokes, and steaming banh can, mini rice pancakes. We try avocado ice cream, a strange yet delightful specialty. Locals smile, amused by our reaction. Here, strangers don't stay strangers for long. We wander into the countryside, where coffee plantations stretch across green hills. We visit a small family farm, where beans are grown, hand-picked, dried, and roasted over open flames. The farmer brews us a cup rich, earthy, unforgettable. Over sips, he explains that in Đà Lạt, coffee isn't rushed. It's a ritual of patience, of presence. We hike to Elephant Falls, one of the region's many natural wonders. The sound is thunderous, yet calming, as if nature is reminding us that it too can speak loudly, even here. Mist kisses your skin. Everything smells of moss and rain. Next, we explore Đà Lat's curious architecture. From the whimsical crazy house, designed like a surreal tree come to life, to French-era villas echoing colonial charm, the town is a canvas of old-world elegance and wild imagination. We meet Mai, an artist who left Saigon for Đà Lat's stillness. Her studio sits above a flower field. She paints clouds, she says, because here they're never the same twice. She speaks of Đà Lạt not as a city, but as a feeling, one that calms you, and asks nothing in return. As the sky turns lavender, we row a small boat on Tuan Lam Lake, the mountains reflected perfectly on the still water. Birds call in the distance. The pine trees stand tall, silent witnesses to countless quiet evenings like this. In a country bursting with energy, Đà Lạt is the deep breath you didn't know you needed. It doesn't dazzle you. It centers you, and in its gentle silence, you hear your own thoughts a little clearer. It doesn't dazzle you. It centers you, and in its gentle silence, you hear your own thoughts a little clearer. What does it mean to truly travel? Not to tick off places from a list, but to let a place change you, to meet not just its sights, but its soul. After weeks across mountains, rivers, cities, and villages, we prepare to leave Vietnam. But it doesn't feel like we're leaving a country. It feels like we're parting from a friend, one who fed us, challenged us, and embraced us in every possible way. The journey began with a question: have you ever wondered what it's like to truly experience the soul of Vietnam? Now, we have the answer. And it's not in a monument or a museum, it's in the woman selling pho at 6 a.m. who tells you with her smile that this moment, is enough. It's in the boatman in the Mekong, who teaches you to paddle without saying a word. It's in the child offering a lotus flower at a temple, without asking anything in return. Vietnam's beauty isn't static. It moves, like its rivers, its bikes, its people. It breathes in the space between tradition and change. It speaks in stories, sometimes spoken, often felt. You think of the chaotic rhythm of Hanoi's old quarter, the scooters, the honking, the laughter. You remember the ancient grace of Hue, where the past floats like incense. You recall the lantern-lit silence of Hoi An, the thunder of waterfalls in Đà Lạt, and the coffee shared with strangers in Saigon. And suddenly, you realize, Vietnam doesn't fit in your suitcase, it fits in your memories. In your senses. In your soul. As we board the train, the plane, the next leg of life, Vietnam stays. Not as a postcard or a reel, but as a shift in how we see food, strangers, silence, time. Travel, at its best, makes the world feel larger and smaller all at once, and Vietnam does just that. It opens its arms, its kitchens, its rivers, and asks only that you be present. So, what's next? Maybe you'll come to Vietnam one day. Maybe you already have. Maybe you're watching this from a world away, wondering what it feels like to sit on a red stool by the roadside, sipping iced coffee as life rushes by. Whatever the case, let Vietnam teach you what it taught us: to eat slowly, to walk curiously, to listen deeply, and to carry pieces of everywhere you go, not just in your camera, but in your heart. This was Vietnam. This was a journey. And this was only the beginning.